In today's video, I want to let you guys know about a free PlayStation 4 game that you can play over the weekend. The Division 2 is available for everyone to play this weekend, and also, you can pick up the game with a severe discount, a heavy discount of 95% off if you end up liking the game. On top of that, I do want to go over some details about the Warlords of New York expansion and some other information you need to know if you are buying the game. Speaking of which, Ubisoft, of course, the developers behind Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, as well as The Division, but circling to Rainbow Six Siege, developers of that game want the title to go free to play. That would be a rather interesting development for that, and we also have some updates on some slower key PlayStation 4 titles, including the heartfelt adventure game in Hazel Sky, as well as Spiritfarer. We got a gameplay teaser trailer for that, and that's coming from developer Thunder Lotus, who is pretty notable, so we'll go over that at the end of this video. But as I mentioned at the top, the Division 2 is enjoying a free weekend right now. It really seems like Ubisoft is trying to make the push for the Division 2 to get it out the door and get as many people as possible playing the game ahead of this Warlords of New York expansion. This really seems to be a second win for the Division 2, at least. Maybe you might not consider it to be a second win, but it really seems like that's what Ubisoft is trying to position this expansion release as, and I can understand why. It's been almost a year since the release of the Division 2. I believe by the time Warlords of New York would come out, we're literally coming up on a year. Yeah, it was released in March of 2019. I believe it was like March 15th, so obviously we're a little bit less than a year, but nonetheless, it is heading into year 2 of the game, and it seems like Ubisoft still is going to remain incredibly committed to the game. They're going to be rolling out expansions, and they're trying to get more and more people to play the game, and rightfully so. I think the Division 2 is rather good. Maybe I'm in the minority on that. I see some people hating on the Division 2 whenever I talk about it, whenever they get a chance to talk about Ubisoft and the Division 2, but I thought the game was rather good. I thought it was a substantial improvement upon the Division 1. Do I think the game is perfect? By no means do I think that. However, it's nice to see that Ubisoft has continued with this MO of staying committed to a game and watching it evolve over the course of a year, year and a half, 2 years, even longer than that, and you've seen that play out with the Division 2 as well, and a lot of the content has been rolled out through free updates. It's not like we've gotten a lot of Warlords of New York type expansions where, you know, it's $30, $40, whatever the case may be, and you do see that often time to time from games, but credit where credit is due for Ubisoft. They have been rolling out a lot of free content, and if you've never played the Division 2 or you want to jump back into the game, maybe you bought it physically, whatever the case may be, you can enjoy a free weekend from February 27th, so yesterday, until March 2nd. You got a decent bit of time to try out the game, and also, if you decide you want to own the game forever, up until March 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, you can save up to 95% on the Division 2. Yes, the game is down to just $3, and there is something you have to ascertain when picking up the Division 2. It's something that is going under the radar. I mentioned it before, but when I talk about the Division 2 at this price point, it should be known. Here is what's going on. Warlords of New York, if you buy this $3 version of the game, you are not going to get that included with your copy of the Division 2. Keep that in mind. It will be a separate $30 purchase. Come March 3rd, after the release of Warlords of New York, Warlords of New York is going to be incorporated into the standard edition of the Division 2, meaning that after March 3rd, when you buy the Division 2, you get Warlords of New York with it. Essentially, the value of that version of the Division 2 will be of greater value than the value of the Division 2 copy you're buying right now if you do end up buying it for $3. I highly doubt that after the release of Warlords of New York, Ubisoft is going to lower the price of the Division 2 back down to $3 because the value for the game has been up. That's just something to keep in mind. I see some people not completely understanding, and I can understand why. You're just scratching your head. 95% off for $3, but I noticed it immediately. This is obviously a push to get people to buy the game, and hopefully you end up enjoying the game so much that you'll spend the $30 for Warlords of New York. I completely understand what Ubisoft is going for here. Honestly, it's smart business. But for those of you guys that watch our videos, I just want you guys to be aware of all of the information so you can make the most strategic business decision possible in terms of buying your games. Let's not act like buying games is like this huge business undertaking. It's a $3 game versus even, you know, a $60 game. Not like you're putting out a new mortgage on a house or anything like that, but nonetheless, who knows what the price of the Division 2 is gonna be with this new standard edition by the end of the year, but I doubt that it's gonna go south of $20. I don't see that happening. Maybe it will, maybe I'll be wrong about that. I mean, Ubisoft games do tend to go on sale pretty quickly, but that's just hearsay at this point. And as far as Warlords of the New York expansion goes, this is obviously a pretty significant undertaking for the Division 2's experience going forward. While the Division was working to secure Washington, D.C., a familiar shadow fell over the streets of New York. Aaron Keener, one of the Division's original antagonists as well as the first Division agent to go rogue, has brought the factions of New York City under his control and used them to conquer Lower Manhattan. With other rogue agents and a lethal new viral strain at his command, Keener is poised to eradicate what little has been rebuilt since the catastrophic Black Friday pandemic. The battle to restore order continues, but now the Division has a new mission: stop Keener at any cost. The expansion touts embark on an epic manhunt, fight through thrilling encounters, explore 4 new districts, progress to level 40, engage in seasons. Warlords of New York kicks off the start of seasons, a set of new endgame activities providing a unique narrative, new objectives, and reward for players, and enjoy an overhauled Division 2 experience. New tactical options are available to players with 4 new skills to unlock, as well as exclusive exotics, gear sets, and many named items, allowing for diverse playstyles whether you play solo or cooperative play. The expansion itself will be out on all major platforms on March 3rd. Enjoy the Division 2 free now from February 27th until March 2nd. Alright, moving on from that, staying on the topic of Ubisoft, how about Rainbow Six Siege going free-to-play, but not just free-to-play for a weekend, free-to-play forever? We've had Rainbow Six Siege free-to-play weekends, but what about the idea of the game permanently going free-to-play? Well, Ubisoft's Leroy Athenshoff has revealed that the development team behind Siege is hoping the squad shooter will eventually transition to a free-to-play model at some point down the line. Speaking with PC Gamer, Athenshoff, who serves as the game director on the successful PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One shooter, said that there are various changes that need to be made in order for a free-to-play model to materialize as detailed by PSU. I think on the development team, we want that at some point. We want the game to be accessible to everyone. You need certain features ready to be a good and successful free-to-play game. What's important for us is that we find out as soon as possible that a player is highly skilled in the things that matter. The problem right now is that you can play a certain amount of matches with copper players while you're diamond, which is a little bit of a problem. R6 Siege was released all the way back in 2015 for current generation consoles, but Ubisoft is planning to bring the game on next generation platforms and making the transition as seamless as possible. So that is something to bear in mind as well. I think the correlation between a free-to-play model of the game as well as a next-generation version, I think that would definitely reignite the game. Not in the sense that it really needs reignition or anything like that. The game has been very, very popular. But if you want to heighten the popularity even more, I don't think that's a bad idea. Rainbow Six Siege has been one of the more compelling multiplayer games of the last few years, and following a lot of the Ubisoft model that I've talked about when talking about Ubi games, especially with The Division, a game that has evolved over time. Even though it hasn't been perfect, I think if any multiplayer game can last for north of 4 years, going into 5 years, considering we know it's going to be on next-gen platforms, that is a substantial feat, so kudos to Ubisoft for making it this far with R6 Siege. Alright, lastly, I do want to note some details about a couple of PlayStation 4 games that are going a little bit under the radar. Heartfelt adventure game in Hazel Sky has been announced for PS4. A young engineer faces his destiny and his desires. Publisher, another Indian developer, Coffee Addict Game Studio, have announced Hazel Sky, a heartfelt adventure game coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC through Steam sometime in 2020. The Steam page is already up, and it gives us an idea of the artisticness that the game will be offering, and it does seem to be more of a sublime adventure game. Hazel Sky is a heartfelt adventure about a young engineer facing his destiny and his desires. Sent to an island far from home in the flying city of Gideon, Shane must pass the trials and return as an engineer of face banishment. Connected via radio, Shane and fellow trainee engineer Aaron strike up an illicit friendship, a friendship that will change the way Shane sees the world. The game touts repair and build an assortment of incredibly flying machines. Jump, climb, swing, and slide your way through the trials. Discover the fates of those who faced the trials before you and those who failed. Take to the skies in ramshackle flying machines. Find peace and tranquility in the gorgeous world. Explore and find hidden truths and fascinating insights into the people of Gideon. Again, we don't have an official release date for the title, but it should be coming out sometime in 2020. And lastly, Spiritfarer gets a gameplay teaser trailer, and this is coming from developer Thunder Lotus, and they've released the teaser for a cozy management game in Spiritfarer. Spiritfarer is a cozy management game about dying. You play as Stella, fairy master to the deceased, a Spiritfarer. Build a boat to explore the world, then befriend and care for spirits before finally releasing them into the afterlife. Farm, mine, fish, harvest, cook, and craft your way across mystical seas. Join the adventure as Dolly, the cat, in two-player cooperative play. Spend relaxing quality time with your spirit passengers, create lasting memories, and ultimately learn how to say goodbye to your cherished friends. What will you leave behind? Looks like a rather emotional title, another game with a rather interesting presentation style and art style, and something like this is always going to captivate me, at least initially, and then it's up to the game itself to flesh out and give me compelling gameplay elements. but it does note it's a unique, endlessly varied adventure. Farm, mine, fish, harvest, cook, and craft your way across the mystical seas. Unwind for hours into cozy and relaxing gameplay. Join the adventurer as a Daffodil the cat in 2-player cooperative play, and again, learn how to say goodbye throughout the game. Great art style, and it's coming from Thunder Lotus, and hopefully it's out sometime in 2020. That's what's noted so far, but we don't have an official release date or even a window outside of the tentative 2020 window. That's going to conclude this video. Again, play the Division 2 free all weekend, and do enjoy the game at 95% off ahead of the Warlords of New York expansion dropping on March 3rd. Rainbow Six Siege developers want the game to go free to play. That would be a rather interesting take, especially if that complements the game going on next generation platforms. And again, heartfelt adventure game Hazel Sky as well as Spiritfarer both look like pretty interesting lower key PlayStation 4 titles, both scheduled to be out sometime in 2020. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.